Ay, ay, ay! Or I am an alien interactions with Fernand Rock. Ay, ay, ay podcast.
My invisible alien friend.
Welcome back. Today we are breaking down walls and blending worlds. Imagine taking the breathtaking power of classical opera and fusing it seamlessly with the soul-stirring passion of Mexican mariachi bolero. Our guest today is a master of this exact fusion. He is a premier tenor, a visionary cultural leader, and the founder of Encanto Arts. From the front orchards of Matauá to the grand stage of Benahoya Hall in Seattle, he is using the power of music to lift up the next generation. Get ready for an unforgettable conversation. Please welcome to the show the incredible José Iñiguez.
Oh, let's see.
Hey!
Oh, Fernando, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, wow.
I'm doing pretty good.
Hey, it's been so long. Oh my gosh, yeah, come on into our office here at Encanto.
You.
Yeah, you bet.
So good to see you.
I know. Yeah, it's been a number of years. Oh my gosh, please.
Yeah, how many years?
You know, I think almost 4 probably since COVID.
Oh my God, so
yeah.
It was in the last World Cup.
Yeah, it was the last World Cup, exactly. Yeah, I think we were doing the Frida Kahlo production with the Seattle Opera.
Oh, yeah. We met working for that production with Rose Cano.
Yeah, Rose Cano was directing it, and it was a great cast. And yeah, it was wonderful. I think we went to, what was it, close to like 40 different cities, I think. So, it was pretty spectacular.
Oh, yeah,
I really enjoyed it. So yeah, no, what a great experience. And, one of the beautiful things is, sometimes productions can lead to amazing friendships, and especially working together. I'm now working with some of the crew that I performed in that production with. So, I don't know. How about you? How have things have been for you? So anyhow, man, I'm so glad to see you here. Any chance you can get the door?
Oh, yeah.
We can have a chat here.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It looks like I got some coffee, and we can really have a great discussion. It's been so long.
Man, thank you so much, Jose.
Yeah, you bet.
I appreciate you open your office and, taking the time to get together and catch up after all these years.
I know.
Since the last FIFA World Cup, it's been 4 years.
It really has, yeah.
And unfortunately, Brazil lost the last World Cup as well.
Well, probably good, because it seems like they've had a lot of chances to win the cup, and they've been there for quite a bit. So Good for them. And I know Argentina has, and yeah, unfortunately, I was rooting for our guys at the U.S., but
And they went very far this
they
time.
They did. I was pretty proud of them, that's for sure. Yeah. But no, it's been wonderful, and what's happened over the years. Obviously, with COVID and just a lot of political changes as well.
Yeah.
It's been pretty amazing, to witness and, work as a professional in this environment. So yeah.
You really stood up for me when we met, when we worked together for Seattle Opera. It was such a special project and opportunity. It was the Programs and Partnerships Coordinator working with Sarah and under the direction of Dennis Robson. And this project was so special because it was a bilingual project.
It was, yeah.
An opera project about Frida Kahlo and singing in English and in Spanish. And there you are. And I got to know you. I know you have a long trajectory on music, and you have this special blend of the mariachi art and opera.
I know,
Can you
yeah.
explain to our listeners a little bit how do you combine this so different styles and find your
thank
niche?
you. Yeah, thank you. It really goes back to my childhood. And so in doing the Frida Kahlo production, it actually was really special. You know, the fact that they wanted me to do this, they asked me, they, you know, had to try out a little bit, had to sing for them, make sure that I could do the part. I appreciated that because I knew where they were looking to put this production was, or where location-wise, was a place of where I come from, in the Yakima Valley, Wenatchee areas, Tri-Cities. That meant a lot to me because that's where I grew up. And so it was a perfect partnership in regards to the production and the performances because I knew the demographics that have been changing over the last decades here in the Northwest was going to be kids that were in my background, which is Latino. They were going to look like me. And they were going to be the majority in these schools, which I know in doing the rehearsals and our meetings at Seattle Opera, I offered that information to a lot of people, especially a lot of the other artists, to let them know that if you're not aware of what's happening in some of our school districts outside of Seattle, that you would notice that it's becoming majority brown. That's just the reality. And so many at that time, they probably didn't think that was, you know, right or not, or they just didn't understand, you know, what the demographic shifting was happening. But I did know, you know, just because I go back to those areas, I have family in those areas, I have friends, and I know a bit about what is happening internally in some of the local politics in those regions. And so, yeah, it all goes back to how I grew up. You know, I grew up as a orchard worker in the lower Yakima Valley, a place called Mattawa, where during the school year was only 1,500 people, 1,800 people, but in the summer it would grow to 30,000 people.
Wow.
So you can imagine that this was a very center-located hub of agriculture, right? So I grew up working in the orchards. That's what I did. And so I quickly realized, you know, when you're growing up, that there was only really two races or, you know, two backgrounds in my city, white or Latino, specifically Mexican. That was it. So, and growing up, I saw that there wasn't a lot of intermingling because unfortunately, Mexicans were viewed less than. Just farm workers, that's it. Agriculture workers. So I grew up being called all sorts of names, of course. But one of the cool things is having siblings, family, you know, and parents who wanted to push you into places like church or places like community to donate time, give back. And my parents always, you know, passed that down to me. And so I was always trying to help or be in a community event or joining a choir at the church, doing things like that, that even though I did it to please them, right? But it gave me a good habit to be a part of the community. So, yeah, and so in growing up, I realized I liked mariachi.
Okay.
Some of my friends that are at school who were white, they liked musicals. They would listen to opera. Some of them played piano, classical piano, and I was like, oh my gosh, nobody around me does that. They'll mariachi, of course, but nobody had that academic type of education that is also passed down from generation to generation. And I really was like, oh my gosh, I would like to learn that. And so what inspired me to want to learn that was watching PBS, because it was the only one of 5 channels that we had.
Oh.
Okay, we didn't have a lot of channels growing up at the farm. But one of them was PBS, and so I would watch PBS as a kid. And my dad was a very strong-willed person, so he wanted to raise strong, to him, thought very strong boys, boys who don't cry, or not emotional. He was a very strict type of person. But
your father
my
was...
father, yeah.
He was Mexican, or...
He was from Mexico.
From Mexico, okay.
Yeah, he was from Mexico. He came from the areas of Michoacan. And so my father came to this country really not because, really he wanted to. He came to this country because he had to. He had to, because economics makes families make hard decisions.
I know.
And in his case, he had a family that in the mountainous areas of Mexico, there just were no jobs. And so in the late 50s and early 60s, the United States had a bracero program. And what did they do? They went and tried to get people to work. And my father would come to work during that program and go back, come back, go back. But ultimately, he realized that if he didn't make a more concrete move, that he wasn't going to be able to build a future for his kids. And so then he decided to really relocate his whole family here to the United States, specifically in Washington State. Yeah.
And then you were born American.
Exactly. Then yes. My older brother Rico was born here, and I was born here, and then 4 other siblings were born here, to a total of 11. Yeah.
So you were saying how your father was very strict and conservative in terms of masculinity.
Yes.
I suppose this comes from the culture from Mexico?
I could say that. I think
say
the Mexican culture can be a very machista culture.
How much that you assimilate from that? Like you kept that machismo, or you were able to...
Well, what I was able
with that.
Yeah, what I was able to do is begin to question it. I think that's one of the beautiful things of education. Our at least our father and our mother really pushed us to go to school.
Yeah.
All siblings, and go into education, or read, learn, get more information, get more knowledge, and be critical. Ask these questions. So, going to school, I recall watching an opera, like Miserables, with my dad. And I remember seeing a tenor on TV, and I saw him be emotional, doing a beautiful aria. And I remember looking at my dad and going, Dad, why is it okay for him to be emotional? Right? Because he would tell us, hey, boys, men don't cry, boys don't cry. You cannot show their emotion. So I just was fascinated by it.
The power of art and
yes,
music.
that for in that medium, people celebrated the tenor, clapped for him. It was a really, for me, as a boy, transcending. It made me have vision.
Especially seeing your dad,
Yeah.
such a tough figure
Right.
for you.
Yeah, for me.
Like what power is that to broke this man from this toughness?
Exactly.
and
So it was pretty, it was powerful into what began for me to really start having a vision into music. You know, at first my dad was like, well, hey, great, you know, you like singing, you should, you know, why not? And so I would sing at birthdays and, you know, family stuff. But I don't think he thought that I would want to go study it. So so that was probably a thing. But I think where you come from, you know, we go back to how this started with opera and mariachi. Well, because mariachi and my friends had European academic studies, right? Mozart, you know, Giacomo Puccini, Beethoven, that I would hear them when I'd go, you know, we would hang out. And I was like, wow, that's obviously way different than what's around me. So as I begin to go to school, go to college, understand to read music, begin to open my eyes and realize there's a whole new world of music. Right?
Yeah.
And then I saw how music is a vehicle, you know, to be able to produce an event that can bring all types of people together.
That's so beautiful, Jose. And the way you mix like the public education. I suppose you were studying in a public school?
Yes, public school, public high school, and
also public television, right?
Yes,
with PBS.
PBS, free channel.
Exactly, and how powerful and this kind of organizations that that there is meant to be public, and how good service they offer to society,
right?
And and you were a live example of that. How you got inspired by these two combinations, right?
Totally.
And growing up in America, a new American boy with roots from a family from Mexico, how you integrate both cultures in such a beautiful way. I want to just circle back a little bit. How much do you learn from your family about mariachis? Like, do you have a trainee? Do you have someone in your family that were a professional mariachi?
No, great question. Actually, none of my immediate family had any training. Okay. Vocally, I would join our church choir. So that's how, vocally. But it was because of my sisters that I think I was able to get more exposure into mariachi. I remember as I got older, and my sister was like, hey, if you really want to really listen to mariachi and sing with mariachis, well, we should go to the center of mariachi. We should go to Guadalajara. Mm. And that was really neat because I was like, yeah. And so I went with her. And all we did is I would sing with every mariachi to learn. I did that for a couple weeks. And mess up. Learn more, mess up. And it was really cool. It was a cool exposure for me, right? To ask the musicians questions. Why, where does the soup come from? What what is the history a bit of mariachi, right? Realize that there is a history. I mean, its origin comes from Europe, right?
Yeah.
But
Spain?
but where we see it, Spain and France, actually.
The French?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so what we see now is the modern mariachi, which was around 1940, where it was added, the trumpet was added to the mariachi. That's what we hear and see. The modern mariachi is due to Jalisco. Jalisco modernized it by adding the trumpet. So prior to that, it was all strings. That's it, and piano.
Wow.
So those are things that I got to learn, got to sing, got to realize, and it was just some of those building blocks that I needed to do because, I didn't have any immediate family that were that had a passed down mariachi, right? Teaching. So I had to go and search for it. Luckily, my amazing sisters were supportive of the art path because they saw my dad was not.
Oh.
Right.
So he was resistant.
He was resistant. Yeah.
When you decided.
When I decided to go to college and study music, it really was disappointing for him. So because I think and now in hindsight, I understand because he knew that I wasn't going to be prepared. Because if you go to music school, every single student in music school has had private lessons. They've had parents there taking them to piano lessons, taking them to violin lessons, taking them to guitar lessons. Well, I didn't understand that, right? But in hindsight, I think my dad did.
Yeah.
Right?
You went to, where did you study?
At Central Washington University.
Central Washington.
Yeah.
And how were you received in the college?
I knew that I was out of my element a little bit, but I got to tell you, this is the beauty of music. The professor that felt and heard and told me that I had something, because to try out to the music program, you had to sing, you had to try out. They had to see if you have an instrument that they can validate and support, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was nerve-wracking, of course, but luckily in my senior year in high school, I did do some solo contests. So that kind of helped, those things help, right? But it was an Irish immigrant professor.
Oh.
was the one that said, hey, you do have an instrument, you have something, I'll take you on.
Oh, was this particular
Yeah, and he was my advisor.
professor? He was your...
Yeah, he was my advisor. And so to this day, I appreciate that because everybody needs someone to give them a chance to open that door. And I think that's what the youth is looking for. I think that's why what's been happening the last 10 years, right? With Encanto Arts, it's all going back to how difficult it was for me as a child to learn music.
This professor sees you. He saw you.
He saw me.
He saw you. And
Right. But even he realized, and we realized together, that I was still at a deficit, no matter what, because I didn't have private training at all. And he knew that. He understood that. But for him was like, look, Jose, ultimately, you have a voice, and you can learn your voice. We can do this now. We can do the work now. And so I appreciated that. And then when I studied there for 4 years, we assessed, again, what your advisor should do. And he asked, okay, well, what do everybody comes into to be a teacher, right? That's usually what you end up doing, is to be an instructor, right? Music, to have a job, a steady job.
yeah.
But he asked me, he goes, Jose, I mean, is that what you want to do? What do you want to do in music? And I said, man, I want to perform and I want to produce shows. So he goes, okay, well, performing, it just requires you to continue to do voice lessons, right? To continue to surround yourself with instructors, voice teachers that can continue to help you grow that. But producing, you're going to have to get a business management degree. Because if you want to produce something, you need to know everything about a show. You need to know what the theater costs are. You need to know about the insurance of what it takes to put on a production. You need to know what the production crew costs. You need to know what all the artists costs. You need to know how much money you need to raise. And you need to know...
You were invested in this...
All that.
In this part of the industry, like to understand the production.
Exactly.
Not only the performer part.
Right.
Okay.
So when he told me, he goes, I advise you should change majors, because if this is what you want to do later in your life, this is going to come in handy. And so he was right on.
Yeah.
And in a way, my dad was right on, because that's what he wanted me to get.
So at this point, your dad was happier?
He was still, no, he was not happy.
Oh,
he still
okay.
wasn't happy. So, for him, it was just one of those things that, he wasn't happy until I made it to Benaroya Hall. Until I did a performance at Benaroya Hall. Then he came to that show. That was his first show he ever came to. Oh. And that had already been years of performing. Probably 50 shows in, maybe 60 shows in.
And he never went until this moment.
Yeah, until that moment. So that was, years later. But I think to some parents, sometimes there's a fear because they didn't prepare you for what you're going into, that they just don't want to see you fail. And it took me some time to realize that, and understand where my dad comes from and his background. For what he's been able to accomplish, and my mom to come to this country with not elementary education, and for them to be able to instill work ethic into us, community into us, and then for all 11 siblings to graduate college.
11? Wow.
It is also something that they instilled in us to do better, to learn more, right? So I admired him for what he instilled in me. But
did you have a chance to reconciliate this?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm so glad, because it took some time, right? Because that is a lot of years of just tough love that some people would say, right? But I was very fortunate that my dad cared a lot to take care of himself, to stay around over time, to see more of the successes of his siblings, of his kids, and what have they been able to do, more degrees that they've been able to accomplish, jobs that they've been able to have. And so I was very fortunate that he kept himself, as well as he could until his final resting days. And that gave us time. That gave me time to understand him more, have empathy.
Yeah.
Walk in his shoes a little bit, realize why he is who he was, and understand and go, man, I don't know how I would be if I didn't have an elementary education. I don't know how life would be. The fact that he had to be an adult at like 12 years old.
Wow.
I mean, who can, right? I mean, think about that. So those are the things. Yeah, those are the things, he became a dad later, but he had to work a job. I mean, like I said, he didn't go to elementary school. So at 12 years old, he was working like an adult.
Wow.
So So like I said, those are things that you learn, right? You understand.
He always worked in a farm.
Well, in Mexico. So he was working as a vaquero in with cows and cattle and those type of jobs. But yeah, I just think that time helped a lot to give that reconciliation and talk and understand and then also give the time that he was able to see me in other productions.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, it was really special. It was really special.
Did you have a chance to see or him getting moved as you saw him as a child watching the PBS opera?
Yeah,
But now seeing his son sing in front of him?
Yeah, I had an amazing out-of-body experience. And I was very grateful because I was the solo tenor at a production called Fiesta. And it was with the Wenatchee Symphony Orchestra. And, I made sure my dad got tickets, for, front row, very close so he can see me in action, right? And it was one of the few I began to solo for symphonies, because that's what I do now as well. And I was nervous as heck because, it's kind of one of my first solo with the symphony. But because I wanted to make them proud. Even through all the, time and all those, places and venues that I did, and I still was like questioning, his love, or questioning, if he was proud of me. I still wanted to do well for him, right? And so I remember, doing the concert, doing some really hard pieces. And I remember going back into the back, dressing room right out to the last song. And I remember just going down, man, I messed up on that last note, and having that, just what artists do.
Yeah, criticizing yourself.
Yeah. And I remember the stagehand guy, he just looked at me and goes, man, are you kidding me? Nobody can do what you just did right there on stage, okay? You don't worry about it. And I just, it was that perspective. And then it made me realize, oh my gosh, I think my dad is really gonna like what I did. So, of course, you when you're a solo tenor, you get all the accolades, the roses, the flowers, and the audience. They're standing. It was just an amazing experience. And then to go now, they had a private reception for me, and to see my dad wanting me to be by his side, and to see him admire and doting me to people was awesome. And it was awesome, and it's something I remember to this day, and it was one of those feelings that you tell yourself, man, this is worth it. This is worth it. So, yeah, I was very fortunate that he stayed healthy enough for him to see events, and for us so he can see that, hey, his son is doing all right with music.
I'm sure you made him very proud. I also had a tough dad, right. So I can relate this tough love.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to express themselves and to show their true emotions, right?
Right. Yeah.
After all this beautiful experience of being seen to have that opportunity that not all immigrants and son of immigrants like you, even born here Americans, they don't have that same privilege, right? That the same
Most
opportunity.
definitely. Yeah, they don't.
And I believe that was what led you to do the work that you're doing today
most
with
definitely.
Encanto Arts.
Yeah, that was the biggest push. Well, one of them. I mean, the beginning was to really use art to bring backgrounds together, European background and the Latino community together. That, because growing up, there was a division, and I was in the middle of that because I could speak English, and so immigrants or Latino or Mexican that could not speak English, they did not merge at all with English-speaking people. But me, because I could speak both languages, I was able to do that, and I was able to see it firsthand how friends who were speaking English, was more European folks, white folks, they didn't mix with anybody that didn't speak English, right? So I was able to kind of feel it and really just grow up and go, man, this is too bad. This is not how it should be. And so growing up like that, I really developed a music program that I believed could solve the problem.
Yeah, okay. So you saw music as a solution to unite people and get rid of this division.
Exactly, in the theater.
In the theater.
In a concert venue, yes.
And this context that you feel so intensely, that division was back in Yakima? Or?
In the lower Yakima Valley, in Mattawa, in those areas, yes, most definitely.
And the way you were describing, I see as you were the exception there. You were the one who created a bridge between these two words that didn't match, that never mixed.
Correct. They would never mix. And so, and as you begin to speak English, that helps you to communicate. And you actually assimilate more in regards to culture. You start liking maybe the same music. You start liking the same movies, right? And then you start going to these venues that have these entertainments, and guess what? Because you know English, you begin to mix with other people that know English.
The power of the language, right?
It is.
And two languages help you to navigate this hardships, I would say. The language of music and the English and Spanish languages.
Right.
And now let's get to the Encanto Arts, to jumping a little bit, making a bridge, a bridge, not jumping.
Yeah,
Let's making a bridge and walk through the present. How this was this nurture you, right? It brought you a lot of inspiration and create the foundations to personally endure all the process to start a non-profit from scratch. In 2018. I assume all your background in business, like understanding the business side of the industry was very helpful for doing this transition, right?
It was, yeah. It was very helpful. In business, you are taught to create a product, right? How useful is that product going to be to people? How do you market that product? How do you make it so it's sustainable? So how do I make a product that costs and that people will buy? right? Because that's the only way to make it sustainable.
Yeah.
And so when I began performing, I got, obviously support from my family in regards to ideas and creativity and bouncing off questions, concerns from them. I'm very lucky to have surrounded myself with educated people that could critical think, that could sit on a chalkboard. Let's go down all the cons of doing something. Let's go down and let's get all the positives, right? And you need these types of people because around you, because they end up making you better by asking you questions, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things my family, which I'm very appreciative of a value that my family has had and passed down to each sibling is, how do we give back? So, Jose, if we're going to help you start something, well, how are you going to give back? And I said, well, what is important to us, right? My oldest brother was like, look, I think what's important to us is education. And, it was his idea first to look at creating an endowment, and look at how, with my sister Linda, and there was some discussion of how do we do that? Well, to do that, you got to raise money. Right? And so, I was in the midst of doing my events, and the reason I was able to, the idea of doing events in different cities, it came from a German man. When in my corporate world, I was working for a river line, cruise line, and I was in Germany working, and I was able to have time with a tenor. His name was Joseph Wolsteiner. I'm very fortunate to have that time because he gave me some insight. What would you do if you could do this again? That was my question. And he said, great question. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I would do. So everything he told me, I did. I would go to every community and perform. Let people know who I am, what I represent, and create a brand.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So I began to do, luckily in my brother's idea of doing an endowment, I was already performing recitals in different cities. Spokane, Wenatchee, Richland, Walla Walla, West Seattle. I was organizing them myself. Calling the Herald in the local community, hey, I'm doing a recital, can you put it in the newspaper? Going to churches and inviting the community, I'm doing a recital in that community. I wouldn't be from there, but I would go to Mass at Sunday and ask the priest if I could have some time to invite.
So you brand yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
And you also produce yourself, and you did all the part related to the press, all by yourself.
All by myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I call a self-made artist.
Yeah, that's what it takes. But it took
self-made entrepreneur.
Yeah, entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur,
That's what it was,
right?
Yeah, entrepreneur. Yeah, I agree. I think when, first of all, when you ask people who are in the industry and you have time with them that are older than you, and they give you that time, man, though that's worth way more than any degree or any money that you can have. Especially when you're talking about your future and how you can create a vision for it. So those were the kind of the things that being an entrepreneur and how I was in building that skill of getting myself in front of people like that I was able to get knowledge from them. You know, then I began to create a committee around this, people that wanted to help me to, hey, Jose, you're doing this already. How do we now help you grow it? Because people go to my events. And the reason they go is because of marketing. I know I market myself. If I'm going to do an event, I'm going to tell somebody about it. Right?
Yeah.
That's how I am. That's what I think every artist should be if they're going to be performing.
That's such an important take because I'm an artist as well.
Yeah.
I'm an actor and a director and drama teacher from Brazil. And, you know, especially in theater, I bet in music it's probably similar, but in theater, when I started, maybe today is very different with internet and everything that we have access today. But we're moved by the dream, like, you know, like it's just your dream, it's your passion,
Right.
And you don't understand how to make this a living. How can you market yourself because you are your project, right?
Yes.
You invest years and years and a lot of money to craft, you know, and that's it. And then you get out of college not knowing what to do with that. What are you going to do with this diploma? Well, who cares about this, right? So it's a very important take that you're bringing with your story. You know, like the way you, especially with all your background that you describe, coming from a family that navigate all these hardships, and you know, I guess your family overcame poverty, right?
Right.
And they established themselves in a foreign country, and so it's such a beautiful and inspiring story. The way you put it all together, and it pays off, right?
Yeah.
Did it pay off?
I believe so. I earn a living, you know, and now I advocate for other artists. You know, what I've been able to do now growing Encanto Arts is, you know, when I started to see it grow, I started to see the events begin to create endowments, and people were actually motivated, inspired to donate money through the events. I then said, hey, you know, I need to turn this into a nonprofit arts organization so that I can have a board that is watching overseeing what I'm doing in the community, and also making sure that when I'm in the community that I do have support. Because it can be lonely if you're doing this on your own. You know, advocating and going into areas in the community that maybe you don't live into and doing a performance, it takes some nerves, right?
Oh, yes.
And, you know, and when you're in the public, there's a lot of criticism that either good or bad, right?
Did you face some criticism?
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've faced a lot of criticism. What's interesting about my background is I've faced more criticism from people who look like me than people who don't look like me. So it's interesting. And,
Do you know why?
And I think it's, so we are a product of what information has been passed down to us, what enlightenment we have had someone older do to us, give us. We are that product. I believe right now, because the immigrant community, Latino community, is still a new community here in the Northwest. It requires generations of enlightenment, of passing down knowledge. Mm-hmm. How do you create organizations? How do you support each other? How do you do endowments that support people in your background? How do you work together? And so
there is a division. You see a division.
Oh yeah,
inside the community.
Most definitely. I've seen it in the communities that I perform in. I've had, like I said, the people be most critical of my performances have been folks who look like me. So it's been interesting to me, but it wasn't in the beginning of my career in doing this. I found myself getting upset. I found myself questioning, where I come from. Like going, man, I'm not understanding why don't you want to support a diverse program? It took me to travel, to go into different communities outside of the United States. It took me to go back to my roots and realize, whoa, wait a second here. If I go to Guadalajara or Mexico City or Puebla or, Durango, some of these larger population hubs, they do have classical and opera music playing in the center, in the theaters. Right? But those folks in those centers, they're not moving over here to Washington. It's the people in the rural communities in Mexico that cannot find economic sustainability. Who come, they might be lower educated, some not even go to school, because they need a job. They need to work for their families, right? I mean, this is about feeding your family. Surviving. And so it took me to go back to Mexico and understand where I come from, understand my own, heritage, own culture. And then once I realized this, it helped me to further my trajectory, because I came back with understanding the marketing aspect of my program. I realized, hey, I have to market here in the United States to the majority of the population here who are English speaking. I have to. The reason is they have been longer in this country. They have had generations of passed down knowledge. Way more than I'm first generation in this country, way more than my family, way more. That's the reality. And so I immediately realized that, and I said, no, I have to then get the majority, the folks who speak English, to support me. Right? I mean, if you think about it, and if you look at math, math in regards to people who are more educated, have better jobs, have been more passed down of knowledge to do things, hey, here, or their knowledge, what's been passed down to them, hey, they go to the community parks. They go to festivals, right? In certain areas. They actually go and support local artists. They actually pay a ticket, right? They support, patronage their own community.
They are not in a survival mode.
Exactly, right? And so I again had to learn that, right? And so rather than being a victim or, thinking of that psychologically or blaming somebody, no, I had to get more knowledge about where I come from and who I am. And then that helped me to realize the landscape of where I live. And then I was able to point my marketing investments in the right direction.
That makes a lot of sense to me, because you just realize that you cannot sustain what you were trying to do just trying to get back from the community that you know that is not inclined to this kind of art, that is not educated to this kind of art, and also there is no economics to sustain this kind of art, because coming from poor communities, they have priorities that are more related to surviving, and of course they also has leisure time, right?
They do.
But it's a very different kind of leisure time. It's another experience culturally.
Culturally, and also in some of those more rural, impoverished communities, the church is what gives the services, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's another type of organization, of course, that does fundraisers. But where does the fundraising go? Goes to the church. And so when people are programmed like that, they don't understand an artist trying to raise money for art, right? Oh, they're trying to raise money for kids to go on a European trip for their senior day, which happens in this country, right? They're trying to do a car wash for the band to go on a band trip.
Yep. To play on Disneyland. Right.
They're going, what? No, the church has a fundraiser because someone died, funeral costs, feed the hungry, right? And so those were type of the aspects that I had to realize that. And now I believe it's in all of our best interests as a society and a community to pass down the knowledge to all immigrants. Every single one that comes into this country. That here, and maybe they could take this back to their own country. Here we organize for a cause that we care about. And if you inspire somebody, if you motivate somebody, they will actually help you in the result of your mission, of your vision. They can help you have results. And so by using a nonprofit, by building that, I was able to create a product with music and sell it in a nonprofit and do performances and let people realize, look, these funds go to artists and they also go to endowments.
And what the endowments does? What they support?
Yeah, so we have 4 endowments that we've been able to create. And the endowments are housed at Central Washington University, Eastern Washington University, Wenatchee Valley College, and Columbia Basin College, which are the heart of these universities in the agricultural areas of the state of Washington. And what these funds go to is to support kids who work or come from families that work in the agricultural industry. And it allows them to pay for college.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, that was, again, of course, an idea from my older brother. And of again, the proposition, hey, if we help you, you got to do something good for the community.
Do you still working together?
Yeah, well, when we can. What's great about these endowments is they've been fulfilled. So, and what's wonderful about those, when you fulfill an endowment, that endowment will be at that university forever.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's the goal, and I hope it's an example. I hope it's an example of the way people can organize to support a cause that they feel strongly about. And for example, in this case, we felt strongly about education. We felt strongly about supporting people who come from my background or our background as a family, and we organized. Yes, very fortunate that I produced events, and I love producing events. Of course, that was a lucky kind of thing, but it also is the value that I come from. So it wasn't too difficult to say, hey, man, we're gonna do events and proceeds are gonna go, No, it was easy because in my background, I've been lucky to witness my parents, my older siblings give their time, volunteer. And so to me, it just made sense. And it creates the synergy that feeds my passion to continue to produce and also makes me happy.
That's wonderful and beautiful. Yeah. It's a full circle. Yeah. And I'm sure you honoring the memory of your dad and make him really proud of you.
Yes, it is. We're again, of where Encanto is going, it's now, I talked about now being an advocate. From performing, I've been performing now for 9 years, 10 years. I'm very fortunate that I get to pick and choose where I perform. I started realizing that, wow, and that only happened last year that I started realizing that I can manifest this now on my own. So it told me, hey, I need to develop more programming because I need to see more tenors that look like me. Because there isn't here in the state of Washington.
It doesn't?
No, there's no tenors that look like me.
And how is it going so far?
Okay,
after 10 years?
It hasn't gone well. The only tenors that I've been able to collaborate with have been from Mexico, and I've had to fly them in to do performances with. Okay, so I then began to go, hey, we need to develop the next tenor, right? They need to be more, we need to do this. So that's where I realized again my background, and I realized, hey, this is a tough hill battle because if a lot of these kids had dad like I did, and man, that's a pretty tough hill to climb.
Yeah.
Right? And especially if they come from economic backgrounds that isn't going to provide private lessons. As you know, they're expensive.
Yes.
I mean, man, there's $150, $200 an hour, right? I mean, any in a low income, they can't afford that.
No way.
Same with me. So I then realized, no, to produce a tenor, we have to give them the opportunity, just like any wealthy family has the opportunity. That is the only way we balance this. We have to make economics not an issue. For a child to get private lessons and develop to be an artist.
And that's what you're doing with Encanto.
And so luckily, through vision and work support, we were able to fund 2 years of private lessons for 60 students.
Oh, wow.
And so these are at the Youngstown Cultural Center. They have started this year. They will be next year. Obviously, we will apply next year for another 2 years. This is now going to become a way for low-income students to get the private tutoring that might come from a Spanish-speaking background because the instructors are bilingual and can get what I didn't have growing up. Can get what my dad couldn't because of economics give me, which I'm sure he would have if he could. And so I think there's a lot of families out there that in our community that parents want to do what they can for their kids, give them those opportunities, but it's just economically not feasible. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to do is take that out of the equation and put them in front of instructors in an intimate setting where only, 8 to 10 students are in a class. Where they can get that private tutoring and then incentivize them to perform. Because at the end of our program, our summer music program, we have a talent show. And so these kids will perform, and there will be judges that are not Encanto Arts board people, that are outside third party, and they will judge these students, and they will receive prize money to help them in either pursue their education, help them maybe to buy an instrument, help them to, do something that they couldn't do without that influx of cash.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
When is the next concert that is?
So our next event is the 8th of August.
8th of August.
Yeah, 8th of August is our talent show for the kids. But we have an amazing opportunity, and that's what's happening with Encanto. When you have success, other artists look at you. They email you, text you, Jose, can we collaborate?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right? And so, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because it just means that we've been doing the things right. Everybody knows that when Encanto does a production, we pay a union rate. We're part of the Seattle Musicians Union. We literally take their rate sheet and we just say, hey, this is what a union musician gets paid. We don't mess around with, no, that is our base, and every artist is like, wow, thank you. Right? So it makes it easy, right? Because it's just, here it is. This is what the fare is. This is what you're going to pay paid an hour. This is what, and so what we've been able to do is, make sure that artists are being proud, are getting paid with pride, so that they don't have to worry that, hey, they might not get paid or something might happen, which happens to artists. I've been amazed how much that's happened in our industry here. So on the 22nd of August, we're going to do a music festival in Pier 62. We will literally highlight 100 different artists.
100?
There'll be 8 different acts.
Wow.
Yeah. Celebrating Latin American communities. So there'll be artists from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Ecuador, Mexico, Colombia, and it's going to be pretty awesome.
That's fantastic.
Variety of different genres in the Latin music scene, as everybody knows. I mean, everybody
not just opera.
No. It actually won't be opera because what we've done, we had an orchestra last summer. This is our second year doing the music festival. But this year, we really wanted to highlight the Spanish language. And the reason is because of what happened during the Super Bowl. It was the first time that a Spanish-speaking artist was doing the show. Well, as everybody recalls, how much backlash, how much negativity was everywhere about him performing in Spanish, which I was caught off guard, actually, because sports should be a unifying entertainment event.
As we are seeing now with the FIFA in the US.
Yes,
right?
exactly. But what was amazing is to see how much negativity and flack Bad Bunny and the NFL and everybody received because they were going to perform Spanish in the halftime show. So I saw that, and it upset me as a producer. Of course, I'm a very small producer. But I just realized that, and I just go, wow, do folks still need more education that Spanish language is not just one part of Latin America, like Mexico, do they not realize that there's Spanish is spoken in Latin America and in Europe?
Yes.
And so I started kind of like asking myself, do people continue to need to have more knowledge? I mean, I remember Ricky Martin in the summer, in that special, in that show. Well, they thought he was Mexican. So I'm like, I go, no, Ricky Martin's Puerto Rican.
So it's so meaningful and so important for you to do this kind of work that you're doing right now.
So it inspired me. Yeah, that's right. It inspired me of what happened and what I saw on social media and the news and the backlash. And to me, I was like, what are we doing that we want people to be insecure, our neighbors to be insecure, our friends to be insecure about ourselves?
Yeah.
Why would we want that?
Yes.
If we care about your community, you care about your neighbors, you care about just as a whole, your country.
Yeah.
You want your neighbors, everybody, to not be insecure, to be happy, to be hardworking, to produce and be involved in your community, right? And so
Absolutely.
I knew that I was like, look, I'm going to produce a show where the Spanish, the Latin artists are going to be in front and center. It's going to be at the Pier 62, the premier venue in Seattle. And we're going to showcase 8 different acts of Latin American artists that come from all those countries I mentioned: Cuba, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Peru, Mexico, Ecuador, and Venezuela.
Let me just correct you. Puerto Rico is America, right?
It is a territory.
Is a territory.
So it's still Latin America, though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a territory. Yeah.
It's confusing to me because I thought it was part of America. It's not like Hawaii.
No, Hawaii is a state.
Hawaii is a state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Puerto Rico is still a territory, and it's still considered Latin American.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that I feel we still need to continue to educate through music. We need to showcase these talents. We need to, hopefully people come and celebrate this, right? And cheer on. There's quite a few of these artists that live in this community. And I'm just proud that I'm able to produce it. I was proud that I had sponsors that believed in it. And I hope that they give an amazing show for everybody.
That's so wonderful. Jose, congratulations.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you, man. What a pleasure to catch up with you,
Yes,
Fernando.
it was amazing to have this conversation and understand more about what the beautiful work you were doing. And I wish you all the best. But before I let you go, I cannot let you go without sing a little bit for us.
Sure.
Could you give us the...
Of course. I would love to. There's a beautiful aria that was done by Pavarotti, and it had to do with the Bosnia conflict, right? And I think this is perfect for what is happening right now still. I mean, we are at war. I mean, let's just face it, right? And it's, again, countries not communicating to each other, not realizing that we are one human race. It's just the bottom line. And so this is a good aria that I'm going to give. It's from the song Miss Sarajevo. So enjoy. I will be performing this with the Central Washington University Symphony in January, actually, this song. So it's kind of stuck in my head because I was creating the libretto here recently for it. Dici il fiume trova la via al mare e come fiume giungere a me. oltroi confini letera setate, dici è come fiume l'amor giungerà, non sappio sperare, e chi è l'amore non sa più asperare, e nell'amore non sa più aspettare. There you go. Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Enjoy.
That was amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you, Jose.
Yeah, you bet.